What did you say that you wanted to cook today?
Pasta,
Where did you see that at?
lemon and garlic,
How did they make it?
machine.
With a machine?
Yeah.
Huh. How are you going to make it?
I'm gonna make it with a machine, same as cookie and garlic did.
And what are we going to do once you make it?
We go put it in the freezer. We go put it in the freezer to get cool and fresh and cold. And we can eat it tomorrow.
Welcome to Toddling the Stacks, a human-produced children's literature podcast where we delve the archive for forgotten treasures to help you make sense of this impossibly large body of work and, hopefully, find some new favorites for your kid. I'm your host, Sean, an Ivy League English PhD with a toddler girl called Adeline, who is somehow even more critical of books than I am. Today, we'll be looking at 2018's Food Truck Fest, written by Alexandra Penfold and illustrated by Mike Dutton. Penfold is the author of several children's books, including the awesome and wonderfully inclusive All Are Welcome series, the first issue of which Addie and I read back in 2025. Dutton has done occasional work in the children's book industry, including illustrating a book about Jonas Salk, the doctor who developed the polio vaccine. Their collaboration, however, produced just this one book, and neither seems to have done much food-focused children's content in the interim. Frankly, I think that's a shame, because this story is a real romp, and Addie and I wish that there were more of them. Food Truck Fest is what we might call a day-out narrative, one which embraces the excitement and strangeness of a special day that breaks us out of the humdrum sameness of routine life. It tells the intertwined stories of a young family preparing to attend a food truck festival, and the food truck operators themselves hurrying to gather their ingredients, perform the necessary prep, and get on the scene to feed and impress the hungry mob. Throughout, that excitement is punctuated by a rousing refrain of "everybody's going to the food truck fest" that's sure to get even sleepy readers inspired to finish your sentences. Our A and B plots collide in the vivacity of the festival itself, featuring lively music, a cornucopia of compelling foods, and throngs of folks enjoying themselves. Much like the real thing, though blissfully void of the strangeness of tapping your credit card through a stranger's phone, or that awkward feeling of blinking away the sweltering, blinding sun as you emerge from a darkened porta-potty with 1,000 anxious eyes upon you. By fest end, the children have fallen asleep in their parents' arms, and the food trucks are getting a much-needed bath. Core memories have encoded, and mission complete. In the halcyon days of the 2010s, Alexandra Penfold, Food Truck Fest's author, moonlighted as a food blogger covering the New York restaurant beat, a recipe contributor to Serious Eats, and in 2013, the author of a narrative cookbook called New York a la carte that told unknown and fascinating stories from New York's food truck scene. Her interest in and knowledge of food is evident throughout the text, but what struck me as particularly innovative came instead from that cookbook. It's her understanding of food trucks as discrete containers that contain tasty treats, sure, but also stories. On its surface, Food Truck Fest presents as a pretty standard A-B multi-plot, but what I think it's actually doing is using the special day-out structure as a kind of frame narrative through which Penfold and Dutton can enticingly suggest a million tiny worlds, each only partially fleshed, that readers can momentarily enter, engage with, and expand on their own. A frame narrative, if you're not familiar, is pretty much what it sounds like. One story, or in this case, two stories intertwined, acts like a picture frame, presenting another narrative embedded inside it. In here we might think of The Mousetrap, the play that Hamlet stages for Claudius, as being framed by the text of Hamlet itself. The young people escaping the plague frame the stories of Boccaccio's Decameron, just as the pilgrims of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales do. Now, when you're at home and you decide you want to hang a picture or a painting up, you know that the choice of frame matters. The right frame can make your artwork pop, while the wrong frame can make a perfectly lovely piece seem out of place. The same is true of frame narratives. They change how we receive the stories embedded within them. Stephen King, for instance, uses the frame of the Losers Club regaining their memories of the past as a chance to assemble a fractured menagerie of encounters with Pennywise the Clown. These lightning flashes of recognition prove more suggestive than prescriptive, forcing the reader to fill in the blanks left by the author with their own information, in precisely the same way a child's mind creates monstrous teeth from jagged bedtime shadows. Thus, in fragmentation, Pennywise becomes more deeply embedded, more personal, and more terrifying than he could if fully fleshed by King. The frame, in turn, gives King an excuse to give us these stories in this non-linear and untraditional way, without asking too much of the reader. Indeed, to use another big Englishy word, King employs this frame as a kind of parataxis, or suggestive juxtaposition, which heightens our fear for the Losers Club, even as we recognize that they are now older, wiser, and better equipped to handle the clown than they were in the past. Penfold performs a similar trick. She uses the day out as a way to get readers excited about everything they see, to give it a veneer of newness. The text helps that project along a bit, suggesting a variety of foods and a gambit designed to ensnare young readers, either through familiarity or through strangeness. You love waffles? Yeah, they're here. Falafel is a fun word, isn't it? I wonder what those are. Is your toddler a wizened foodie, cynical and burnt out on traditional fare? Enter fusion. And once their attention is grabbed, Dutton takes over, presenting a fleet of food trucks as varied and distinct as possibly could be. Each operator, too, is unique, with their own facial features, sense of style, movement, urgency, and presence. My personal favorite is the woman in oversized cowboy boots. Addie's is often the guy making icing. And the trucks are just the same. There's pho trucks and pizza trucks, trucks that sell gumbo, some that sell coffee made from coconuts. That bounty certainly mimics the real world, where it seems a food truck exists to sate even the obscurest Epicurean whim. But toddlers probably don't know that, so instead here that variety is supplemented with fragmentation. One of Dutton's favorite tricks is to begin a menu legibly, only to have it descend into scribbles, as with this Peruvian food truck, or this fish taco one. Or, conversely, to capture the menu in the act of its writing, forever incomplete. That fracture lets you and your kid imagine the other foods available in fun and sometimes silly ways not possible had Dutton done the work of developing actual menus for each of these trucks. In turn, that excitement built up by the day out is magnified by a world at once more comfortable, because they made it, but also somehow new and exciting. That might make it hard for you to turn the page sometimes because your kid isn't done exploring and creating. But they'll get to start the whole project over again with the next set of trucks anyway. Through constant repetition, the excitement of the different trucks, the imagining of what's on their menus, the fascination with the various costumes of the operators, and what they might be like themselves, all of this has, of a piece, concretized into the pure comfort of a known world for Addie. Today, she requests this when she's very tired and wants to fall asleep while we're reading. I have a special note on the scoring for this episode. Addie and I read Food Truck Fest in 2025 when I began rating books as part of a year-end wrap project for friends on social media. While the categories remain the same, as does the overall scoring apparatus, I had not yet developed a formal rubric to guide my thinking. As such, scores were rather more generous, and that's an important lesson for anyone taking on the unenviable task of grading. In 2025, Dutton's illustrations earned a pure 5, something only Thomas Handforth and Robert McCloskey, both Caldecott Award winners of considerable fame, have done this year. Were I to rank it now, Food Truck Fest would score a 4.4. This book does precisely what children's books should do. It melds images and words together into powerful new signifiers. Adds everything already discussed here a series of playful Easter eggs like the family cat stealing the baby's shoes, or the hopeful tucking away of Hemingway's immovable feast into the diaper bag. And you can see why I began this episode by bemoaning the lack of further collaboration between Dutton and Penfold. They just work together. As for the story, Food Truck Fest was not the book that started Addie's obsession with food narratives. That title belongs to Linda Sue Park's 2008 book Beep and Bop, which Addie first read in April of 2025 at the ripe old age of 2. Both books exist at the top of the charts for her still, but if this one has an edge, it's in the giddiness inspired by Addie's love of special adventure days. This kid loves a day out on the town, and she loves reading about them too. Food Truck Fest captures the lightning of those days in a ready-to-consume bottle. Originally scored a 4.5, I think that's still fair. The repeatability category serves, in essence, as a checkpoint for whether we should turn a book from a long-term library loan into a home library edition. In 2025, I mentioned that this book had rarely been put back on the shelf since we bought it. And that was true then, and not untrue now, though it's slowed. Often now a bedtime read, as I mentioned before. Notwithstanding, few books have been as requested by Addie, and as a result, Food Truck Fest is mostly memorized, one of the key considerations for this metric. Originally a 5, today it would be a 4.8, still the most repeatable book we own. As for my score, well, like Penfold, I am a foodie, and introducing Addie to the taste I love has been one of the true joys of growing with her. We make tortillas together. She's been blending hummus with me somehow for years now. She loves to pound things in the molcajete. And pizza night lets her carry her love of cheese with her into the undying lands where it will be evergreen. This book provides a textual accompaniment to that. The simple syntax and refrain structure that encourages interaction mean that when potentially new foodstuffs make an appearance, questions will get asked, and that's exactly what I'd want. Original score was a 5, now a 4.6. Addie's score was also a 5 in 2025, though I note with some amusement that apparently on New Year's Eve she told me that she no longer liked it and wanted to get rid of it. For now, of course, Addie's score has largely to be inferred, a process the rubric has helped with considerably. Top-scoring books require extensive memorization, request for rereads, and importantly, transference of the book or its elements to moments of play outside of story time. Food Truck Fest ticks all those boxes and thus remains a 5. In 2025, when we read probably about around 100 new books total, I declared this one the very best of the year. Were it to be scored now, it would remain firmly atop a far more crowded scene. Importantly, it still tops the Addie score metric, the one designed to provide a check and balance against my influence. And so, folks, check this one out of your local library. And if your kid loves it as much as mine, add it to your shelves at home when finances permit. Alex and Mike, if you're listening, it's time to get working on the children's literature adaptation of No Reservations. I'll take 2 sets. Both autographed, please. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Get your kids to the library and keep on reading together.
This has been Toddling the Stacks. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or your podcatcher of choice for new episodes every Monday, and follow us on Insta, Blue Sky, and Facebook for the latest updates. If you like what you hear, leave us a review. Keep up with Adeline's reading now, find links to buy your favorites, and more at toddlingthestacks.com. Address questions or concerns to pod, that's P-O-D, at toddlingthestacks.com. Graphics for today's show were created by Emily Tatro. Make a website so people can hire you, Emily. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.